Look, we're gonna do you guys a little bit of a favor. I know you still got tons of time left to earn those Hanzo and Kiriko skins. So we, generous that we are, have one more match for you tonight. Not two, not like our first couple of days. Nah, we're rolling into our final series of the night. It's myself, Possible. That guy's LaFon. And we're about to watch PANTHERA and XERO.
Well, I mean, hopefully we're watching. There, I have so many questions about it. Day one, we didn't really get to watch them that much, right?
Oh, yeah, fair enough.
So I'm hoping, listen, we've already seen that even though this meta is really longest move, but there is room for some level of experimentation. I think the Doomfist has clearly been tested by multiple teams. It's not a unique composition to PANTHERA. The problem is PANTHERA did not make it look good, but it wasn't against PANTHERA. Here's hoping against XERO that they have an opportunity to be a little bit more competitive.
I mean, you look across this roster, right? Hidden, Becky, ex-Overwatch League player, Arpen, Aiden, and Slay. These are guys with lots of experience, at least at the Contenders level, if not beyond, right? So you're hoping if they're going to stick to this composition that we don't necessarily expect, we didn't expect to be run at the very least coming into this season, that there's some merit to it. But it'll remain to be seen. Again, Poker Face, we ease off a little. Poker Face are looking pretty scary, so PANTHERA losing 0-3 to them, maybe not the worst thing in the world. But today, they go against XERO, the winners, the victors of the WDG Open Series, and PANTHERA cannot afford to drop this match, not against XERO, but XERO are pretty stacked in themselves.
Yeah, I mean, players that you will recognize for sure. Kilo makes his reappearance in Contenders for the first time since his last stint here in Contenders Korea all those seasons ago. And
when he was on O2 Blast when they won their first title.
Yep. Attack also making a reappearance as well. A couple of new faces. Jaewoo did play last season in Contenders Korea before bowing out, and so another up-and-coming very young player. Jaewoo alongside Taejong, I think, were the two players that we saw that were like Genji Tracer plotted, young players, new age sort of. And I expect big things from him as we get to
yeah. And we're going to be starting off on Antarctic Peninsula. This is the first time we're seeing this map thus far in our fall series. The map ones are all predetermined, folks, so neither team has selected this one. Just end up here by luck of the draw. And I'm interested to see what the meta might end up shaping up here. Because, in previous metas, it's a lot of rush, right?
Well,
we get a lot of rush compositions on this map.
Except for sub-level, right? Sub-level has often been the home of the Winston due to that verticality that kind of almost required. Even if you do play a rush style on sub-level, you often have a poke character along the way. Mm-hmm. That is an adaptation. Of course, when you look at it was a little bit more open. I think we can expect to see a little bit more really, and especially considering attack. I would expect this.
But there's also arguments to be made. Maybe you want to run the Orisa instead, or maybe Arpen will just keep playing the same 3 heroes.
Well, this is sub. This is the one where
that's fair. You know what? I'm not worried about it yet. Well, I'm a little worried about it. I gotta be honest with you. It is going into the Orisa here. We'll see how that goes. We are out into our final match of the night. Interesting comp from XERO. They're running the Orisa, and I don't see a Bastion.
You're the two of them. It's almost.
No, it's not. Fun fact. I don't think that's true. Aiden's down though. That's a good start. And Becky follows. DPS immediately dropped. PANTHERA hardly got to play the first fight at all. Interesting stuff here.
Slowing down. We need to see.
Yeah, absolutely. Ooh, that's a nice sleep. That'll enable a dive. It is on the Orisa, though. So even with an aim to clean that one up, Astrid and Preston are going to do more than a fine job. You can fortify, javelin spin, or some cooldowns maybe, forces attack on the back foot for a moment. Arpen dives right on past, too. Says, hey, attack, you're worried about your own life. You're not worried about your supports right now. Just trade 1-for-1, but eventually Kilo gets chased down. Becky now on top of Astrid. Astrid trying desperately to dive out of the way, but no such luck there. Up to 30% for Zero, but how much longer can they hold? It'll take a second to get rid of them both with Becky down, but only a couple more seconds.
Yeah, I mean, the thing to kind of highlight there is that, you know, Zero allow PANTHERA to get individual dive. Crescent was fighting Arpen for a solid, like, 10 seconds before anything else, like before the elimination kind of came through, which leads me to believe that no one was peeling for him to actually, you know, follow up and help the other support. And when you're down a support, then it sort of becomes like a domino effect where the eliminations kind of continue. There it is again, another uncontested dive.
Yeah, I mean, Crescent's dancing around inside that immortality field, but it goes down pretty quickly here. A lot of focus from PANTHERA, but they don't get much. JWoo, he comes back while everybody's looking at Crescent. Nobody's thinking about the Torbjorn. And JWoo just annihilates him.
Hey, there it is.
Yeah, it's 4.
This has gotten a very, the big problem with this competition that they're running is that you have to always, you cannot allow a player to stand out in the open for too long. Eventually, you'll get pushed. And I like this move over from Kilo to do the Sojourn, and just more of a threat. Diving a Sojourn is a lot more difficult than diving a Soldier. Soldier, not really a threat when you're coming in terms of burst damage.
That's some burst damage. Becky already good for Astrid and Kilo. Yeah, you can dive all you want, but you can't get away. Not from this Genji. 3-piece for Becky, looking to clean this up and keep PANTHERA on the map a little bit, or on the ground, I should say, a little bit longer.
One thing Becky's shown is that some of the best in the world, this Genji is still uncontested. There was a very flawless play. Excellent target selection. There now, though, the problem still lies. Walking together is giving an isolated target.
That's an interesting choice. PANTHERA are going to use Beat to keep this going. Zero, I mean, man, that Beat just doesn't really get much of anything, does it? I mean, I guess it technically saved you from a Terra Surge, but there's so much mobility in PANTHERA's comp. You would have thought they could get out of that one regardless.
Oh boy.
That's a beautiful Ant Matrix 2. Hidden never saw it coming. A Primal to try and displace and keep people away from the window in that damage boost. Now on top of Astrid 2 and gets rid of a very important piece of Zero's composition. They put the point on back with the help of Molten Core. How long can they actually hold this high ground? Still very much controlled by PANTHERA. Jump down, and you're jumping onto JWoo and attack. At least they're anti, though. Beautiful stuff from Slay to give PANTHERA the last little boost they needed.
Actually, this is the weak. Kilo needs to stay alive. I do think that PANTHERA has a pretty easy path to close this one out. Ugly as the round kind of has been for them. The Nano is going to make... you have choices, right? On Arpen to make it a difficult target first, or on the Blade to, you know, make it a lethal combination, and that's with the overclock in the back pocket. So you're gonna need a heroic play from someone here on Zero.
Already Blade getting whipped out. Kilo gets Arpen though, and that immortality field does some pretty heavy lifting. Becky trying to chase Kilo down, but no! The overclock puts a stop to it. It isn't good for his own overclock, but running so low on health, but he's still staying alive. Slay focused on keeping up his Sojourn, but the flip goes over to Zero. 90% on the board, too. A captive Sun finally giving Zero what they need to rid PANTHERA from the objective. And even an overtime trigger is going to be difficult here. Arpen gives his life to get the wick available. Beat just a hair too late from Aiden. And it's not looking good for PANTHERA. They won't be able to stay on the objective much longer, especially with JWoo focused on Slay. No one getting back to the Ana means Aiden cannot possibly stick around. And Slay finally falls, giving Zero the first round win.
This is the problem when you put all your eggs in one basket. If it gets kited away, it is entirely unusable. And that was that Nano Blade. The problem with the Nano Blade there is that the dash was used to get rid of the immortality field. Kilo, I mean, quick on the draw. Both the overclock, yeah, right here. Quick on the draw, the overclock to push away pressure, and then the sliding away when the immortality expires. There's no way that Becky can actually get in. The dash was expended to take down the immortality field, and you know, you're caught out. So again, just a veteran move by a player who's had some of the best in the world look at him in some of the highest pressure situations. Remember, just keeping your cool under your calm under pressure. An easy fight win there for Zero. clutch that point.
You know, on sub level, you think to yourself, oh, the Winston, it's fine. There's so much high ground here. I don't think it was because of the round we were on. I don't think it was because of the PANTHERA is still running the Winston.
Oh,
there is almost no high ground on this point, and they are still running the Winston.
Winston into the Orisa is so good. It is so, especially in a point like this.
Especially here, man. I mean, Kilo's already gotten hidden. Look how far Arpan has to go from his team. He has to leap all the way over attack into a bunch of people that can just slide away from him. I mean, Kilo hardly felt pressured at all by that dive.
Kilo made it to map 7 in the grand finals. You think he's feeling pressure in a match like this? Not at all. It looks like he's out for a walk in the park.
Does take a little bit of damage, but falls back quickly. And they're trying to rotate around this composition. Even with this high mobility, it takes them so long to do so. And is this even worthwhile staging ground? You're a
they're playing for the Kitsune.
Going
they're playing
from
for the Kitsune.
The low ground.
Well, they're trying to push out with the Kitsune rush here.
I mean, the rush is fine and damage, but it doesn't go far enough to actually get rid of Zero. Look, I mean, Attack and JWoo just stand there, hardly bothered by the Foxes. They just ulted and didn't do anything.
It is really funny to see JWoo AD strafing while the entirety of PANTHERA are trying to take him down, and then just Crescent Astrid keep him up.
Look at this. PANTHERA now trying to rotate around back through here where they gave this area up. They decided on their initial approach 40% ago that they didn't want that high ground, but now they're stuck. They've been sitting around, you know, twiddling their thumbs for 40 seconds, and now with Arpan falling, all of this time is sunk into nothing.
Yeah, that is. You've heard of the sunk cost. I guess it makes sense that it's in the icebreaker point.
Yeah, something's sinking here, I'll tell you that much.
All right, I mean, you have ultimates. You have 5 of them. Please use them. Realistically, the problem here is that whatever you use, the Molten Core is going to be put on the objective, and it's going to prevent you from that.
Yeah, it's going to be tough. Okay, a bit of an early Molten Core, honestly. Trying to deny entry. Becky, again, not quite able to find much of anything with the blade. That Immortality Field goes down every time, don't you worry. But this is 4 ults PANTHERA have used. At least they don't go to waste.
I have to be excited about a fight when it's you the majority of, literally 100% of your available resources, and it was not a comfortable fight win. I'm coming back in. I mean, Kilo, who's been a hero already for Zero. You gotta think that this overclock is just going to find at least one pick, you know, unravel the sweater, as it were, into the fight win.
And even if it doesn't find a pick, you have Ant Matrix and the Overclock against the Kitsune Rush. It's so hard to stand in the zone for the Kitsune Rush when you're potentially taking that much damage. And they're going to try and dive deep past it, get rid of Kilo immediately. But again, that Immortality Field is a nightmare for them. One click of an E button, and the entire Kitsune Rush is nullified. Ant Matrix gets them back to the objective, and that's the perfect staging ground for Kilo's Overclock. Couldn't quite get hidden, is actually struggling to find much value at all, but JWoo's doing a good job of getting rid of Becky, and as long as Kilo survives and keeps pumping damage into Arpan, doesn't need to be the flashiest Overclock ever. Suzu gets rid of the Pulse Bomb, but no one gets to the point, and Zero with a pretty solid first map win here against PANTHERA.
I'm going to say it's somewhat anticlimactic last fight, right? It almost felt expected that was the out.
Anticlimactic second point.
Really, just
in all honesty.
Well, I mean, in fairness, PANTHERA decided to like take a coffee break in that archway. Pastries, maybe. Then decided.
This feeds into the worries that we already have, or had for PANTHERA coming into today. It's a different look, admittedly, right? They're not running the Doomfist, right?
Sure.
What is Vince to do on Icebreaker? What's Vince supposed to do on Icebreaker, especially?
The other thing too is it felt uncomfortable. Like the target selection just didn't feel. It didn't feel like they had one. It almost felt like they were hunting for their target in the middle of their dive, and that's the way to make that decision. PANTHERA, the questions continue. And I mean, listen, for PANTHERA, historically, they've struggled on the entry in a meta, right? It's been tough for them to kind of develop early. They do come online later. The question is, do they have enough runway to pick up space or to pick up speed to take off? In the past, they've had it. Now, well, they're running out of time.
Yeah, no, certainly. I mean, keep in mind, again, you need at least 2 out of 4 wins to comfortably get to third, and they're still hunting for a map win when we come back from a break. They're still hunting for a map win after a series and now a first map. You know, the Peninsula didn't go so well for them. You know, they really want to play this Winston composition. They really want to just play dive comps in general, which makes sense considering who's on that team. On sub level, where we expect dive comps to be a little bit stronger with that high ground, it almost worked for Panthera, and they kept running it, and it kind of got right into the ground.
Well,
So now we moved to map 2, and they hope to turn things around.
Well, I mean, the one thing I will also highlight is they are actually still looking for a point to capture. They didn't take one against Pokerface. They did not win one in this most recent on Antarctica. They are still without a point. They are
That's a big oofy.
Yeah.
That's the technical term. All right, we go to map 2 now. Hybrid is going to be Midtown, which makes sense. This is what Panthera selected earlier. Arpen will get subbed out here. Sung-On comes in instead. And we're likely going to be seeing some Sigma from Panthera here instead of these 9.
This is such a tough. I think the other thing to kind of bring into consideration is that our level for Panthera is difficult to do. I think they looked better on Midtown in their last game, right? But it was against Pokerface, right? So the problem with it being against Pokerface is I think Pokerface is the expected best team in this group. And to sort of draw any real conclusions is tough. What we do know, at the very least, is that Panthera, when Arpen is in, are most likely going to run dive. Beyond that, I think this performance on Midtown is going to tell us where we should expect Panthera to slot in overall in the standing.
Yeah, for sure. The only other thing here is Aiden will come out and develop in for Panthera, and then it is Hyun coming in for XERO. They no longer want to play that sort of double flex support, it seems. Or maybe Hyun will. It's hard to tell. No? Oh, he's flopping around. Okay, there we go. So it is double flex. This is different.
Did Develop play the Iliari the last time, or was it Ana?
Yes, yes. Develop did, because I remember making a comment. I was like, this guy used to play DBS.
Yes, that's right.
So it already makes sense for him.
Yeah. In general, though, XERO continuing to run an Orisa. Huh.
We have seen Attack play the Sigma previously in the history as
and
well,
looked
so
good on it too.
Interesting decision for XERO. The rest of the composition making perfect sense, though.
I actually do think
one concern we did have for Panthera, not to cut you off, but was that their attack here with the Sigma, you know, no Lucio, no dive-esque players, it was a little bit slow last time. But this time they're giving the alleyway for free. Another passive. This is the second passive setup we've seen on Midtown today, and it gives Panthera that extra angle, that extra bit of pressure to worry about.
Yeah, I do think that the reason this is a passive setup, though, is because they have the Orisa, right? You cannot hold forward with the Sigma.
Makes sense.
Or without the Sigma, rather.
Yeah. Jaewoo does come over and flush that out eventually. Attack stuck in a room where he's a little bit hard to heal, but at least Crescent is on this side of the map for the moment. Tanks an ice pick to the head. That gets out of dodge, manages to survive. Already has the captive sun. That's a little bit insane for Crescent here. Develop only up to 80% now. And they're poking and prodding, but really doesn't feel like they're forcing the issue anywhere. Jaewoo, wow, okay. I mean, Jaewoo's getting impatient. Jaewoo's like, guys, I want to fight. Goes down to HP, but survives, and the focusing beam goes straight through the kinetic grasp. Jaewoo, when he wants blood there will be.
And the fact that you're able to burst down a Sigma despite having developed and sleep both there. What is this?
Whoa. What are we trying to freeze here? That's not the lock. That's not where the food is. You didn't need an ice box. Blizzard just goes there to keep Becky alive for a moment. Now Panthera, at least they're back. They respawn.
Oh my.
Going their ults in, but not really getting much for it. Slay falls, and the duplicate keeps JWoo alive despite a captive sun from Develop. A bizarre approach, and one that cost PANTHERA 2 minutes.
And ultimates. Right? That's not like it was just a free fight where XERO decided to throw everything in for the sake of it. That was PANTHERA investing and getting nothing. And now my concern about them being too slow on these fights is not limited to the fact that Poker Face is just a fast-playing team. This feels like PANTHERA do not know how to approach with this composition. They're not setting themselves up for success.
Desperately need a pick. They need Hidden or Becky to come up with some goods. JWoo, meanwhile, getting rid of the healing pylon, making it hard for PANTHERA to take space. No inching your way up the chessboard for now. PANTHERA instead continue this game of poking, prodding, hoping for a headshot from Hidden, but even that isn't enough unless the target is softened up beforehand. JWoo, he takes some scuffs, but he's always got band-aids ready and available. Hyun and Crescent aren't letting him go anywhere. Okay, this is a nice pinch. Finally, some players isolated. PANTHERA use a Blizzard to try and take the objective. You need to stand there to take the objective. And Becky's dead. And Slay meets him. Oh my word, Kilo coming alive. Oh, that's 4 already. Do I see a number 5? Do I see 5? 5 picks here for him. Yes, I do.
30 seconds left. I don't want to be a hater, right? Usually, I don't mind playing that role, but right now, this is getting... I can't spend multiple times on Midtown. A map, I might add PANTHERA selected. Watching an ult hit absolutely 0 people. That's 2 blizzards that did nothing.
XERO looks so clean, though. Like, the way they dodge back from that, the way that they completely sidestep PANTHERA's slow approach. This is so good from JWoo.
Oh, no.
Oh, and the stun! Energy Javelin! Denying the Gravitic Flux. A desperate captive sun. Completely by the wayside. XERO! Don't even let a tick go over to PANTHERA.
And we are still hunting for the first objective capture by PANTHERA.
It's shaping up to be a bit of a tough season for PANTHERA thus far.
I mean, Kilo, this guy is.
Man, I miss this guy. How do you even see? I didn't even see Developed head. That's insane.
That is really, really well done. I mean, credit to XERO, by the way. The one thing about that they've made the adaptation is that this passive setup that they're doing is not at the cost of map control, right? The big thing that we've seen in the past when teams play this passive setup is that they actually lose that entire area in front of the fire truck, right? That the opposing team is just allowed to walk in for free. The one adaptation that XERO has made that is different is that JWoo is playing the Echo, right? And as PANTHERA tries to walk into that open area for free, it's not actually for free because the sticky bombs come in. Kilo's holding an off angle that can pepper them on the way through, and so they never actually get into this, into this crosswalk in front of the fire truck without sustaining damages. And that means you can't set up in the alleyway. It means you can't force out attack. It means that Crescent and Hyun, frankly, were not forced to make difficult plays. They were allowed to just kind of casually exist. And that is, as a support player, that is where you can just do whatever you want, right?
Look at Kilo now. He felt it so much after that overclock popped off. He's like, yeah, give me the Widowmaker. I'll hit some heads. I'll take him down. This will be done nice and quickly. Oh. Slay lucky that bullet went just inside. Attack even going all the way through the train here. This is an interesting approach, but one that seems to be catching PANTHERA off guard. They're holding on for now. And then not able to go down and prevent people from entering through the main alleyway, though. It is just shoved off the high ground by the javelin spin. His shield breaks. His team's low. Hidden has to get the immortality field. And I mean, PANTHERA, they need something to punch back. A good shield stopping the energy javelin that would have been Sung on falling if he hadn't put that shield up at just the right moment. Becky trying to make something happen over here with Develop. Sung on getting rid of Hyun. That makes XERO's life more difficult. Yeah, they don't have enough health to fully sustain this push, but they just need a tick. They just need one tick. Somebody get there. Woo! Okay.
PANTHERA's heart rate is Well, it's above resting. Let's say that. Oh my word. They're not out of the woods yet. Keep in mind, they lost a bunch of players in that fight, so they're not going to be fully reset for the setup. And that means XERO can actually walk into this neutral ground that we've been, talking about so much. Look how vulnerable Develop is.
The Develop's playing fire here. Buddy, at least he's here to help Becky. Flies his way into safety there. Ant Matrix not really able to be used by XERO either. Oh, speed to Panthera's, but a beautiful shot from Kilo. Off the Widow now onto a more dangerous pick, but attack left out in the open. No chance for him to coalesce with the rest of his squad, and now XERO are scattered for the wins. They have to try and retreat.
I mean, now it's actually getting a little bit scary. Well, it's getting a little bit scary for XERO here, right? Time is not on their side anymore. They've played too passively for too long, made too many cute plays, and there's only 1:45 left. This is well within the realm of a hold for Panthera, and as long as they don't overspend ultimates, it's absolutely doable.
Ooh, nice from Develop. Becky forces out the position on the high ground, jumps in with the Blizzard too. Panthera, maybe they're just not an attacking team. They had a pretty solid hold against Poker Face for a while earlier this week. Maybe it's just all about the defense. They want to stay put and give nothing over.
120 is all that is left here, and they still have a ton of tools, right? Blizzard was non-existent on the first map, or on the attacking half. Here, that is a fight winner in and of itself.
Quite a few ults for XERO too. Not much to really deal with JWoo if he finds the right angle. He's already wrapped around. Becky, you can see he's up there trying to keep JWoo from any sort of staging ground. A captive son pulls in Develop. Beautiful work from attack, not letting Develop get high enough out of that one. A Gravitic Flux in desperation gets over the train car just in time. Some damage dealt, but no one finished off. Kilo does get found by Becky, and still low health bars across XERO. They're not able to get to Hidden either. A Bob on the point too. It's so hard to approach. We're down to 30 seconds, but attack will plant his feet on the objective. Sungon has to get back here now. You cannot give up even a tick. Crescent falling makes things even more difficult. JWoo has to be the hero for XERO, but can't manage to get anything done. Now, the overclock out. Kilo, can he do it again? Good for one, but he just can't find another target. There goes Sungon. Oh, Panthera, they fought so hard, but Kilo won't let it slide. One player hidden, desperately hold, but not for long enough. XERO eke their way across the finish line and get themselves a second match.
An unbelievable situation when you need him most. Kilo makes the appearance, a 5 pickup on the defense to confirm the full hold. 4 on the offense in the dying moments of Midtown gives them the victory. Man, Panthera made their presence felt for the defense. Alas, too little, too late, and that offense is there, going to come back to haunt them.
Getting so warm too, like warm and fuzzy. I was like, oh, Panthera, yes! Playing the video game. Becky was controlling JWoo. Develop and Hidden were playing so well in tandem together. Sungon was holding the line so admirably. But you give Kilo 4 minutes to get just one tick. Yeah. You'll make it happen. Kilo will absolutely make it happen.
And I mean, the thing is, you said that, hey, maybe they're a defending team, Panthera. Unfortunately, you don't make any progress in the offense, you're not gonna win any games. Still, this is the first signs of life we've seen from this team this season. And maybe they can make a turnaround. Maybe they can make a comeback, right? There is clearly a team that understands how coordination is supposed to happen at this level of gameplay.
We know that Panthera has talent, right?
Yeah.
Across this roster, we know guys like Develop and Hidden and Becky. We know these guys. They're phenomenal players individually. Sometimes you roll into a meta, you said it before, Panthera historically, regardless of roster, have been slow to start in metas sometimes, right? It's certainly been a slow start for them here. They'll have very little time to rev back up when we come back from a break. Panthera still hunting for a point for the fall series. Man, it was such an admirable defense on Midtown, but there's nothing to do when Kilo decides he's not worth Kilo, he's worth Giga.
Ooh.
Okay. Yeah, that wasn't one of my best.
That was definitely a reach.
To be honest with you.
That was a reach.
Not one of my best jokes. We go on to map number 3 now. Flashpoint for Panthera to try and turn it around. Yeah, our pen's back in.
And Aiden is as well. This is going to be a dive-ish mobility.
Admittedly, Flashpoint has been the map type in its admittedly very brief history, where dive can often be a little bit more viable, especially if we head to the right selection of the two Flashpoint.
I think the issue is really going to come down to execution more than anything else, as it has in, I think, this asymmetric matchup in this patch, right? On Flashpoint. There's so many caveats to that statement. The truth is, if you don't have a proper staging ground for your dive, if you don't find the execution immediately, the dive comp just runs out of steam, right? And you're able to sustain through, which then means that ultimates come online faster for the sustained teams, you know, the rush or sort of the poke styles that have been more favorable, like the Zarya, like the Orisa. And I think the bigger question I have is that for Panthera, even if they're able to make the dive work somewhat, what happens when you don't succeed? Because not all the points on New Junk City or even on Suravasa, you know, not speaking just for this match, just in general, you don't have the flexibility clearly on Panthera in this meta to have those disparate styles. And maybe, sure, the Orisa is not the most, the best pick in terms of its effectiveness, but at least it's good enough across all, you know, all styles that you can make it work.
Yeah. I mean, I think we've actually seen a lot more Orisa than we have.
Yeah. Actually, aside from Poker Face.
Yeah, so, well, I mean, Poker Face haven't played the Orisa much themselves, but even then, you know, they aren't just like 100% forcing the Zarya.
Yeah. Well, that's what I mean. Aside from that's the thing, right? Aside from Poker Face, everyone else has been playing mostly not Zarya.
Well, I remember JNGK pretty much played strictly Zarya when we saw them earlier this week, but I doubt we'll see any Zarya going into our map number 3, New Junk City. And like I said, Arpen's back in, so undoubtedly dive. No changes for XERO, no surprises there. You know, why change things up when things have been going so well?
I also think that, like, man, the problem with Panthera when we kind of talk about them is that you're going to be able to, you're going to point fingers and say, oh, this player's underperforming, or oh, this player's not doing, you know, playing to the heights that we know that, you know, he's capable of. But the truth is it's not an individual problem, right? Because FM, for example, made the Winston work. They didn't win against Poker Face, right? But it wasn't a beatdown, right? It wasn't like a complete stomp when the Winston was played. There was still some level of like, oh, this actually can work, even if it's not the most optimal pickup. I think right now, Panthera is just hunting for a solution in terms of their meta read, right? We saw the Doomfist from them week 1. We're seeing the Winston from them now. And because they're kind of hunting for that pickup, they're not able to set anybody up for success. Becky has not played to the levels that we know he's capable of. There's been flashes of it, but flashes are not going to win you games. Same with Hidden, who we've seen do amazingly in the past. It just feels like everybody on this team is not quite sure what they need to do. And as a result, as a team, they're just not getting anything done.
We head out into New Junk City and on toward the arena now. And Panthera have to find a way to ride the line between meta and comfort. They go back to the Winston. Admittedly, when there was high ground, when there were these objectives where the Winston was exceedingly viable, the one time we've seen it this series, Panthera played XERO rather close. Close isn't enough to win them a map or even a point they're still hunting for. Right now, just posturing. This is among a more difficult point to start on. I think once they get control here, Panthera will be feeling much better. But diving straight into the Orisa around the sides of the arena, not an enviable task. Already 2 falling, and Panthera are sent back.
I mean, not only do you have to take such an awkward path to get into a position to dive, who do you dive? Right? Like, you're not diving. Realistically, Kilo escapes that fight. Jaywu, you're just not diving. That is a very dangerous thing to do. Same with the Orisa.
Oh my word. It's happening.
Oh, hello. Panthera?
Onto the Zarya. The prophecy
but
that no one foretold.
Here's where it gets a little bit tough, though, right? Is that how much practice do they actually have in the Zarya as a team?
And does it even matter? Doesn't matter.
No.
Oh, and Kilo's killing everybody. Hey, get some charge.
I mean, we're already 60% done. Right? Like, if they don't start going now, they're
excited about getting picked off so early as they will get another chance at this. A long rotation around the side they have to take because XERO are so confident right now.
I mean, they're also walking into the captive sun here, and even with that gone, like, you're not close enough to your own resources to force the issue right away.
Yeah, I mean, they're just getting lapped around this point, too. I mean, they have the Lucio. They can eventually catch up to 0, but as soon as they do, the Ant Matrix comes out, keeps PANTHERA at bay. We're at 99. A Captive Sun lobbed in, hits 2. Nice sound barrier from Aiden, just in time. PANTHERA go down to the objective with their Kitsune Rush, and now they come back up to finish off some stragglers. XERO let PANTHERA survive for too long this time. And finally, PANTHERA getting some percent.
Most support ultimates used in that fight across the board. I suppose all 4. Now it comes down to sustain through, you know, the remaining aggressing factors. I do like that Arpen, man, this is the power of the Zarya in this meta. Look how quickly he's been able to generate ult charge, right? He's actually doing things.
It's crazy. It's crazy what happens when you play a character that has been buffed. XERO, certainly not out of this. They have quite a bit, including Kilo's overclock. We've seen what he's done with that so far. Nearly gets stamped down. Bubble goes on to him to at least keep him up. The overclock is popped here, but Kilo doesn't have an ideal angle. Shots across the bow, but nobody's head hitting the floor just yet. Here comes a blade. Becky takes Kilo out. That's the #1 threat gone, and honestly, if that's the only pick you get, that's worth it in this fight. PANTHERA, 93% and XERO are falling. Finally, they'll get themselves a single objective win.
And this is the one thing about XERO that is very tough. They're too slow of a composition that if they lose that fight, they're only getting 2 fights per side of Flashpoint, right? Because of how slowly they get that taken down. So, man, the thing is, we were talking about everybody not being able to play to their heights. Arpen has not played a fantastic Zarya, but the thing is, he doesn't need to. It just gives enough resources to Becky to actually play the game. And this is one of the hard things to talk about in Overwatch is that you don't need to be the best player to have your team succeed. Just give yourself enough of a
Play
chance.
your role right. Already, the Kitsune Rush giving PANTHERA a chance to cap this objective. Nobody from XERO can get here in time, so now PANTHERA, all they have to do, even if they lose this fight, is lose slow. Arpen with a grab too. I mean, there's the Ant Matrix. Becky deflecting a lot of that damage back, and even with the bubble, goes past it. Thought about playing for a bit more there, but dashes back out correctly. Arpen is back up to a bubble now, and once again, Becky in the back on top of Kilo. They know who's the threat, and when Becky can play the game, he can stop Kilo in his tracks and then clean up more.
This is not the same PANTHERA that we've seen the last, 4 maps that they've played? 5 maps that they've played, actually.
This is the caliber of play we expect from such talented individuals. Once they finally bow their head and accept Zarya as their meta savior. Now XERO, I mean, 82%.
Okay, well, sometimes
Kilo opens up with a pick on Hidden. Now he's able to get around to the side of PANTHERA too. PANTHERA trying to rotate on him. That's a blade. Oh, just barely gets up to Crescent. The Captive Sun is unleashed, but Becky doesn't allow anything to happen. Becky is coming alive now that he has just the slightest bit of support. And that's 2 points in a row for PANTHERA.
And no joke, since Arpen has moved to the Zarya, XERO has not won an engagement.
Yeah.
Never mind a fight. They have not won like a head-to-head skirmish.
And now we go to Ducts. PANTHERA get the way favorable track again.
Quick switch, by the way, attack goes over to Doomfist. Actually, they've made big changes. This is what you like to see from PANTHERA, though, right? They're making their opponent struggle to kind of decide what they're doing.
And if attack is going to have the same sort of aversion to Zarya that Arpen had for so long, where are we getting value with this Doomfist? What's the dive target? You know, it's not again into the Bastion, which is where we've seen the Doomfist primarily before. So what is attack going to be accomplishing on this hero? JWoo annihilated, shot through the spine there as Hidden comes around. Kilo, these overclocks have been good historically this match, but with Becky jumping on top of him, and with no angle, there's no chance. Becky is a man on a mission, and that mission is to shut down Kilo.
Now is the question for us to ask about XERO. What is the adaptation? Your Orisa has been...
Flip the script.
Oh my word.
Nice.
This is a... It is unbelievable how much more one-sided this looks on the opposite foot when your player who's good can play the game.
What would PANTHERA have looked like against Poker Face if they just read the patch notes? Oh, brother. Well, Hidden does fall here. That's an opening XERO, or hoping to expand upon, but a grab locks up Kilo and Nano to try and keep him alive, but too much damage. 100 charge on Azaria is so much. Even the damage reduction from the Nanos, not enough. A brief cap on the objective, but with a blade out, I mean, is there even a chance? Becky a little bit low, but JWoo and Attack are heading for the hills, and there's a measly 20% left.
And now we're looking at Attack will have to touch because he has the Meteor Strike. This is looking real rough. Overtime will be brought into test.
Overtime here.
Yeah.
Dancing around with Becky on the objective. If JWoo can occupy Becky, then maybe Kilo stands a chance. But first, the overclock from Hidden, already laying into Attack. Not historically a favorable matchup for the Doomfist, and already Attack is gone. A few more percent to stall this out from XERO, but they are losing players left, right, center, up, down, and in the middle. PANTHERA discover Aria and get an unbelievable 3-0 on New Joke City. This series alive.
And make no mistake about it, not only is that a 3-0, after the 99% that XERO earned on their first on Arena, from there on out, it was literally all PANTHERA. They did not lose a fight after taking back the objective.
It's crazy.
Listen,
simply insane stuff.
If you wanted a question as to what does the meta look like, and you're watching Contenders Korea, and you're seeing a lot of this Doomfist and Winston, and it's Zarya. It is Zarya. Oh man.
Look, we can dance around with Arisas and Winstons all we want. Fact is, Zarya can walk up, just hold left click very well, and then bubble Genji. Oh, Genji do so much when bubble.
Watch PANTHERA go back. Watch PANTHERA go back to the Winston in the next map.
I will leave. I will walk out the door. I will leave my house. I will swim through the Atlantic or the Pacific Ocean to Korea, and I will smack somebody's keyboard.
Oh boy.
Don't you dare, PANTHERA. Not when the simple swap to the Zarya just made so much difference. Hopefully, PANTHERA have finally found the thread. We'll see if they keep it going when we come back from the break. It took 5.5 maps, but PANTHERA discovered the power of Zarya, and thus won not only their first objective this season thus far. Admittedly, it's been 2 series. It's not that bad, but also their first map. Now they have another lease at life. They can try to pull off this reverse sweep, but you know it is a loser's pick format. So XERO here, they will get to select not only our upcoming map of Push, but should they lose this map of Push, they'll even get to select Escort as our 5th and final. First up, though, Push is the problem for PANTHERA. Well, and for XERO too, but I had to go for the alliteration.
It's tasty when you can do it, eh? It's so hard to talk about this series and just PANTHERA's season in general because it is very easy to point fingers at what the problem is. It's trying to force a suboptimal composition when you don't need to.
They're fighting real hard in the hero select screen.
And it's even the thing is, it's not just the Zarya pick that's bizarre. It's also on Midtown. Like everyone's playing the I shouldn't say everyone. The Sigma pick makes sense on Midtown relative to the rest of the region, but they make it more difficult for themselves by playing Mei. Right? Like, just in general, their hero selection does not make a ton of sense. And then when they pick the one thing that everyone seems to agree is the quote-unquote correct pick for this meta, they excel, right? So, okay, we can let's just draw it out for PANTHERA first. Against Poker Face, you can make the argument you're not going to win that mirror head-to-head because Poker Face looks like the strongest team just in general. Fine, I cop to that. That's cool. Against these teams that are of your level, or weaker than you, sort of around that area,
theoretically weaker, as
sure.
We have teams coming up from the WDG Opens versus PANTHERA, who's been playing against Overwatch League teams this year.
But even to that point, you know what? Let's rephrase that. Against teams that are less flexible, just as you are,
sure,
you can get away with the Zarya and unleash your Genji, who is arguably one of the top 3 in this region this season, right?
Becky's so good.
You can let Hidden actually play the video game. It just feels like you're trying to play to your strengths too much instead of acknowledging that there's some series that you're just probably not going to win and then taking the rest as they come. Now we head to Esperanza for map number 4. It's going to be a comp selection thing for me here, just as we load into the map.
Has XERO tried to galaxy brain this and said, you know, we could play, you know, we like our Orisa comp. We could play like New Queen Streak or Colosseo where it's good, but that's where the Zarya is good too. What if we go to Esperanza? This is where Dive is good. Can we bait Panthera back onto the Winston or Doomfist comps they were losing for? Man, that's... woof. I hope Panthera have the wherewithal to beat the H key to defeat the Hero Select screen and get themselves at least another playable composition. But there's also the argument to be made here, right? XERO are now in the boat Panthera was up until this point. Attack got pushed on the Orisa, and we saw a swap to the Doomfist. That's the same problem that we just had with Panthera. Is that going to be the plan? Is Attack going to now play the Winston on Esperanza?
What if Panthera, it's like a curse, right? Panthera had the curse of the Winston Doomfist.
Yeah, I'm doing back to XERO with it.
Back to XERO with it.
Oh man, that's the only way to free themselves from the necessity to play dive comps.
Cassidy Genji. What?
Yeah, no, XERO have definitely been infected with something. Somebody checked their temperature. I think they're running a fever.
All right.
Oh my.
God, Kilo is so vulnerable.
I'm befuddled as to what the Cassidy is supposed to do here.
Like, it's good, consistent mid damage, especially against the Zarya, but like, well, hold on.
Okay, well, man.
It's still not a win, though.
You know, well, okay, no. I was gonna say you could roll away, but Kilo stands his ground and dies. Jwoo does trade it right back, though, so 3v5, or 3v4, rather, in XERO's favor, at least for the moment.
The one thing I am worried about here for XERO, even though they've made this first fight work, is the war of attrition. There are going to be fights you just lose because you're so squishy in the run.
Arpen already using both of his bubbles, and I don't think he got a ton of charge out of that. Oh, never mind, he got plenty. He got plenty of charge. It looked like it was just the Winston tickling him, but he's up to 100 already. Does have to be a little bit careful, like you said, that Cassidy's consistent damage, even if it's just body shots. Kilo? Making it work for sure. And XERO are right on back.
Now hear me out. Okay, Arpen heard my thought from the
Hear me out, Winston. No, I was actually thinking the same thing. I don't hate it here.
Yeah, I think if you're going to be counter-comped, just switch to the Winston and like make Kilo's life miserable.
It's certainly going to be difficult. Ult advantage is firmly in XERO's favor, though. And I mean, the bot is just inching its way to the checkpoint as well. Kilo getting a nano. Okay, well, don't have to worry about a dive when you've got so much damage resistance. Quick flight finish off Hidden. Does slide to safety and slay. Arpen charge into the back line of XERO. Arpen has to take a breather. Checkpoint get hit. I believe that checkpoint got hit. Yep. Jwoo was doing his job, and Attack comes in to smash people around. Oh no, Panthera, I thought you had it.
It was close. I mean, that's just that ult lead that just never. It's too much, right? And I mean, okay, we obviously poo-pooed Panthera not going over the Zarya for so long, but the truth is, I don't think this Cassidy comp actually beats the Zarya consistently. But it's clear Panthera just aren't as comfortable on it, and so now they're just in an awkward position. It's another good read by XERO.
Yeah.
They essentially, we talked about baiting Panthera into playing the Winston by going to Esperanza. The truth is they play just a counter bait instead.
Jwoo with a blade already chopping Hidden into bits. Only good for the one, but dealt more than enough damage. I mean, this is unbelievable from XERO thus far. They have not let their boot off Panthera's throat.
I will also highlight that there are very few players in the world who would be able to make this work too. If it wasn't for the fact that it's Kilo on Cassidy, right?
Yeah.
There aren't You have to be able to be consistent in your headshot damage on Cassidy to make this work. And truthfully, there aren't a ton that can do it in the world.
Ults have to come out here for Panthera. Already 123 meters. 4-0. Hidden good for one off of that overclock. And Becky putting down the most dangerous player in the lobby by far. But Zero,
Actually,
they don't have to give up much space here.
Yeah. The other thing, too, is now because you've got such a lead, right? You can just play for time for this middle of the pack. It's unlike, you know, we've seen teams in the past just try and play for time, where they only have like 70, 80 meters. 123 is one of those leads that's like, okay, now we've got to genuinely like really work for it.
Man, near indomitable. That Suzu's way too early too from Slay. At least the beat comes out now. Panthera trying to make it happen. Becky didn't receive it though, so he has to recall away and can't put the pressure on. Arpen and Aiden will have to do so instead, and they lose Slay in the process. JWoo cutting people to ribbons and even gets the deflect on the railgun. Looking for more, hunting for Aiden. And Attack helps him out with that one. False bomb not enough either from Becky. Oh man, Panthera, it's so close in so many fights, even in this one. Attack getting hunted down, eventually finished off. But how much progress do they get out of this? Kilo's back now on the Sombra.
Sombra does not feel good. Kilo can just go to the Sojourn, right? And you.
But now Kilo's not a target at all.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, though, is that he's not really a target. Like, the Sojourn is not the primary dive target either, though, right?
I mean, it is when it's Kilo. It would be when it's Kilo at the very least. I mean, Sombra's certainly harder to play on the current patch, but look, I'm giving Kilo the benefit of the doubt until he whiffs an EMP. And they're using Kitsune Rush up on a high ground. It hurts a little bit. Okay, Kilo does do a whole lot with that decloak there, but Panthera did use quite a few ults to make that happen.
Nice chase down by Arpen. Arpen actually was
Really
just
solid.
a clutch fight there. That Primal Rage was unreal. I think got 3 eliminations with it, and then the chase down onto to Attack on top of it all. They will get this checkpoint here, so you know there is a path back in for Panthera into this map. It's not done and dusted yet. It's still very difficult. But
they've used a lot of their ults to get to this point, right? Now they have to sort of heal back, pull ults out of Zero, try to pull like 3 or 4 ults out in a fight where Panthera doesn't spend much.
One of the benefits of having a railgun available, though, that's 2.
Yeah, I mean, that's 2, but I think that's the only 2 they're gonna get out of Zero here. Becky falls. I mean, JWoo, you know, it's not the flashiest blade we've ever seen, but Panthera scatter like roaches when the light comes on, so nothing more will be invested.
I think that was a spin of frustration from JWoo. Did not feel that was, you know, up to the standards that we expect. Now, here's...
Doesn't need to be when you have this much of a lead.
Yeah. I mean, here's where it gets a little bit dicey for Panthera. Is even though there's 3.5 minutes left, you do kind of have to be flawless from here. You're expected to lose this next one pretty handily, I think, but with the 3 ults that Zero has. But after that, perfection is basically required.
Got it here. Yeah. Ooh, Hidden gets up to the high ground first, though, and Arben actually leaps out of danger. Doesn't have the primal, so needs to stay away for a moment, get fully healed up by Slay before re-engaging. And Zero, they've taken quite a bit of damage themselves. Attack just barely waking up in time for the primal, and a beat keeps him alive, too. Oh, it needed to be flawless, and Panthera, they had an opportunity, but there were too many ults. Zero, they had too much room to work with, and now they're all the way back to where they're gaining more progress and pushing for a full cap.
And now it feels done and dusted because Panthera had to use everything here. Right, they used the 2 big ones, the pulse bomb and the overclock.
Hidden trying to put on his best Kilo cosplay with the Cassidy, but how much can he accomplish? Nano at the ready. Arpen, you'd think he'd be the recipient. Has to dive onto somebody really vulnerable. Goes in with not a ton of health. Hidden with one nice shot a second. Oh, actually, it's Hidden receiving the Nano. Yeah, okay. I mean, if you can't hit the shots Kilo can, at least get a Nano, and then that helps. Attack dives a little bit too deep, and it will not be the full cop. Not quite yet. But so far to push for Panthera.
I mean, even with that fight win, the fact that you're investing at your spawn feels so rough. I mean, on Zero's side, look at, like, you just have to play for the blade, right?
Oh, that's an ante. Oh, man. That's a lot of damage Panthera take. trying to cut Zero off from the quick pathing so that they don't have to take an engagement in the middle of the map, but oh, Hidden just barely survives. Wow, the peel for Panthera is so good right now.
I mean, but you're looking at a what do you call it, Blade EMP combo, right? And while the last EMP hit 4 and didn't get anything, with a Blade to follow up, you feel like that's going to be a difference maker. Both the Pulse Bomb and the Primal Whip.
Yeah, nothing for Panthera. They knew they had to strike first in that fight. They wouldn't have an opportunity against the Cyberblade. Kilo does get scouted. Kilo gets headshot, so now it's all on the Blade. Panthera trying to step back. Not give Jwoo his opening. That's a nice ante onto attack. Jwoo's already good for 1 though, and he hasn't even pulled the Blade out yet. Will he survive long enough? Dived onto Hidden. Good for a second. Here's the Blade out now, but Aiden does receive a nano. Panthera digging in best they can with 45 seconds left on the clock.
And yet that Blade did its job. It got the nano out, so now there is no defensive utility against this EMP. I mean, a solo EMP here just to eliminate the support would be the right play.
Yeah, it's right. Hidden gets 1, but a support for a DPS you'll take any day of the week if you're Zero, especially with the massive lead you have. Now a deep dive, going for Slay. Doesn't stand a chance in the world. Not if all 5 players of Panthera were there helping him out. Could he have survived that one?
15 seconds left here, and it feels like curtains. I mean, just the nano here from Zero to clean up and attack for sustain. It doesn't matter.
And that's the nano on attack too. I mean, there's not even a way out of this mega pack room. Attack running Hidden down. The overtime triggered just barely here, so Panthera have the slightest of chances. Becky doesn't even know where to look though. What is his target? Where could he go? Who could he possibly focus down? Wrapping around to the high ground. Zero, they've given up a lot of space. Where have they gone?
They're waiting for this the rally to expire. That has now got completed, and now there is nothing left for Panthera.
So well done by Zero. They know they just need 1 fight of the next 3 or 4. Gun down. It's a bit of a trade, but no! The sleep on Jwoo! Wait. So you're saying there's a chance, Lafon?
Problem is they've lost 2. Both supports from Panthera have to make the long walk back. And though
almost has the primal.
I mean, the thing is, it's a primal to displace an EMP for the same here for Zero. They just need to get them off the cart.
Pulse Bomb forces attacks primal. That's at least something. Becky has to recall. Now, ooh, the Deadeye out. Zero, they can't contest, so a little bit more meterage here. Attack even takes a shot to his chest. Pen survives just a little bit. Here comes the EMP. Kilo doing it once again. Just when Zero's backs were starting to get pressed against the wall. Jwoo not hitting it with the Pulse Bomb, but with Aiden falling with a nano now. Zero will not be denied. Panthera, these last 2 maps were far better than their first 5. But it's Zero all the same.
Unbelievable performance there at the end from Zero. What a read, by the way, on their opponent, recognizing that their weakness, that they thought the weakness was going to come into play, and an ill-practiced composition could not sustain. And Zero, with those switches, with the read to pull their opponent into a false sense of security, steal this series away. A 3-1 and Zero, your #1 seed reminder coming in from the WDG Opens. Open up their Contenders career with a bang as they'll start off with a 3-1 victory here over Panthera and keep themselves in the conversation towards playoffs.
Phenomenal stuff from Zero. Great start for their fall series. Man, Kilo just looks so good. Kilo's back, baby. Oh, yes, he looks so good. And with Jwoo as his DPS duo, too. Jwoo, one of the Tracer phenoms, one of the young guns with the hunger to be the best in the game. Still some questions for Zero around their pool, around what compositions they can play. Zarya is a very big question mark for me moving on against some of the other teams in their group, like Poker Face, like FM, too. But for now, Zero can be happy that they only gave away a single map against a team that we saw on New Junk City should be as good as Panthera. They're a little bit late to wake up, but I have some hopes for Panthera moving forward now that we've seen them at least attempt that Zarya comp, and it worked so well.
And I mean, yeah, PANTHERA has the talent, right? And this is something that we're going to keep saying because they've performed, the players on PANTHERA have performed in the past to perfection. There has been that history from them, right? And so now it is but translating it to here. But for now, player of the match, your MVP, no surprise at all.
If you thought it would be anyone else, you didn't watch the same series we did.
I mean,
Kilo not only dominated map number 1 with picks like that, not only decimated PANTHERA with plays like this, the 5K, I still have no clue how he's developed there. I tried to look again. I was like, maybe there's a pixel. Maybe his settings are low. Nah, Kilo. When you need someone to deliver, Kilo's second to none.
And the other thing too is single-handedly dismantling the read. It's not just the mechanics from Kilo, right? This Cassidy play here, there aren't very many teams that can undo a Zarya with the confidence that is capable from Kilo, right? It takes a player like this, and I think we're going to see a lot more of that this season. That being said, this is how your day number 3 of the fall series in Korea shaped up. A lot closer of a day, it must be said, than our previous
Honestly,
two.
Yeah. This has been our most competitive day by far, which is very fun. Poker Face not allowing much fun. You know, again, they have dinner reservations. That's why they're slotted first on all the days they've played so far. You know, they got somewhere to be. But Euphoria versus SPG was a banger once Sunjin got off the Doomfist. PANTHERA versus XERO. Again, it's a lot of teams are still settling into this new patch. There's been no Overwatch League play on this patch. The Contenders Korea teams mostly have to figure it out themselves. So there's a lot of teams trying a lot of different comfort.
Yeah.
Some things work, some things don't. SPG, Poker Face, and XERO happy with the way day 3 shaped up for them.
Sure. Now that's a quick look at how our standings shape up as well. And man, at the start of this, if you had said this is how the Group A standings are going to look, a lot of people would have looked at you askance. But yes, that is indeed true. PANTHERA -5 in their map differential as they stayed no victories here in their first week of play.
Next week, PANTHERA will have to beat both FM and Revival, and maybe even hope for a little bit of help depending on how map differential works out, right? Yeah. I mean, there's a very real world in which PANTHERA and FM are tied at 3rd-ish with 2 wins each, and then, you know, map differential comes into play. PANTHERA glad they at least picked up 1 map today. If they had gone home without any, that would be a very sore subject for their chances of playoffs. On the other side of things, SPG off on the right note. We just got 1 game out of Group B today, but we'll get a couple more tomorrow. I believe we'll see SPG again, too, so they can try and balloon that +1 map differential they got going on. And Euphoria, you know, they're far from out of the running thus far, but Group B shaping up to be pretty competitive if JNGK can give these Contenders mainstay teams a run for their money.
And I mean, that also means that Lemix is playing for their lives as well next week, right? That's
very much the case.
Yeah. From here on out, not only do they have to win, it's going to have to be near flawless. And if it's not, they will need some help from the other games as well. So for them,
even if it is, they might need some help from the other games.
I mean, a lot of interesting games for, you know, next week. Looking for, I think there is very much, especially if you look at Group B, right, because of how close it is there. There is still an upset potential available. I mean, Euphoria, despite their up and downs today, they are a team that, if you're not careful, I think will be able to, you know, punish you for mistakes that are made. And it is going to come down to that. That being said, we're going to take a quick glance at our next couple of games. And I mean, again, that SPG game, very, very interesting to see who kind of gets a chance to stay high in that Group B conversation.
We will learn a lot about Group B from tomorrow. Not only is it SPG versus JNGK, but also Dreamers versus Euphoria. You know, if Euphoria can sort of either figure out this Doomfist engine composition or sidestep it, put it away and do something else on Control and Flashpoint, that'll be pretty tasty. And then, of course, XERO has a chance to really balloon themselves to the top of Group A and almost pretty much cement their playoff chances, if not, you know, first or second potentially depending on how, a tough game Poker Face next week. That's next week Zero's problem. Tomorrow they got to beat Revival.
Yeah. And keep in mind that this is also a case where we can talk about the WDG Open, bracket, as Zero is that #1 team out of it. Sure. Every other WDG team the teams from the WDG Open were looking at Zero, and in this case, it seems that Zero has actually weathered the storm quite well as they come in and take a victory against one of the OWL knockout teams. So, I mean, the expectation is for Zero to be maybe even that second seed after their performance today, in Group A.
Yeah, I mean, I'm super excited for Zero, right? This is a team that we saw a little bit of throughout this year, right? But now, they've added Kilo into their roster. I mean, Kilo was there in the WDG Opens, I'm pretty sure, if I'm remembering that correctly. Yeah. But either way, Kilo looks sick, right? They got JWoo on that team. I'm very excited for their prospects, as long as they can figure out what to do against some of the stronger Zarya teams. Still a little bit of a question there given to us for Zero on that third map. So many good questions. I can't believe that we're 3 days into the season out of 8 in our regular season, right? And we still have so much to learn about all these teams.
Yeah, and I think not only the teams that we have a lot to learn about, right, but the meta as well.
Sure.
Because I think so.
It has not been what we were promised. We were promised hard Zarya meta, everybody running Sojourn, Genji, Zarya, and that's it. That is not. We've seen, I think, the least of Zarya of all the compositions we've run this week.
The thing is, though, is the teams that have run Zarya, well, the team that has run Zarya has, I think, defined what the conversation is going to look like. Everyone is really playing to Poker Face, and I think Group B, depending on how the game tomorrow with Dreamers steps up, might be a very similar situation, right? Where Dreamers ends up being sort of the defining factor, and if you can't deal with Zarya, are you playing with second place? When played properly, when played to perfection, I think Zarya is still the better selection. The problem is the margin for error is so great, right? Greedy Bubbles is probably the biggest one. We saw that today from Arpen when the Zarya just wasn't working. You have to use Zelf Bubble twice. It's not enough. That might be a bit different. So overall, I mean, tomorrow is going to finally cement some of my thoughts, but it's going to be an exciting one nonetheless.
And you and I get to watch from the sidelines. We get to take a break. It'll be Unknown and G-Clef taking you through tomorrow, folks. Same time, same place. One more day for the week here in Contenders Korea Fall Series. We'll see you then.